Hey, what's up, it's Todd. Today I want to talk to you about 3 books that will change your game and might just change your life. And these are actually going to be fictional books, because a lot of people ask me what I read. I don't read as much self-help as you might think, and when I do read self-help, I usually just skim through it, because most self-help books, in my opinion, there's a few good points in them, and then a lot of fluff and a lot of filler. The reason I like fiction is because you not only get the lesson, but you get a lot of examples. You get to see the character enacting the lesson, you get to see the lesson played out, and I find that much more memorable, and I find it much more graspable in a lot of ways. Anyway, without too much ado, the 3 books I want to give you, the first one is The Hustler. All right, The Hustler is this old book about a pool hustler, and basically the idea in pool hustling is you play for money. There is a defined victory, which is making money. It's not about your ego, it's not about looking good, it's not about what feels good, it's about making money. And essentially, The Hustler is a story of a very talented pool player who has to learn this lesson the hard way through some very tragic events in his own personal life. He kind of comes out the other side an improved man with a lot of growth. And really what it's about to me, it's about winning. It's about deciding to win, finding a way to win, and it's about the characteristics in a human being that separate the winners from the losers. And they're a lot different than you might think. Most people, contrary to what you might imagine, are not really in their lives looking for ways to win. They're looking for ways to lose. The reason being, losing is easier. Losing takes more pressure off of you, and losing is more sustainable, okay? So check it out. Hustler is an amazing, amazing book. It will teach you to be a winner in game, a winner in life, and it may actually do what it did to me, which is make you very into playing the game of pool as well. Second book I want to talk to you about is one you may have heard of before. You may have even had recommended to you before, but I have to put it out there because it's such a good book, and that would be The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. As a sort of a side note, an asterisk, I almost considered doing Atlas Shrugged as well, but as far as for inner game and game, I think The Fountainhead is the absolute best one. To kind of couch this, I'll tell you that this book will teach you true self-esteem, okay? In looking at the hero Howard Roark, that is the perfect example in a literary form of what a human being with self-esteem is, does, and how he acts. In fact, if you were to take the book that a lot of people recommend, 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden, there is an association, like a philosophical association between him and the Ayn Rand camp. And so if you look at the characteristics outlined in that book as the characteristics of self-esteem, every single one of those is basically a Howard Roark characteristic, to the extent that because I had read The Fountainhead several times before seeing that book, I looked at that book, which is probably a great book, and I was like, I've seen this all before, I already know this. And it was a much more enjoyable, and I think much more like, the lessons gripped me more because I was part of the story in reading it in the form of a novel. Now, the one caveat about this book is it is thousands of pages long, but that's actually a good thing, because once you start reading it, you're not going to want to put it down, which is shocking to say about a book of 1,000 pages. I've actually read or listened to this book on audio, I think 4 times in my life, and that's a lot of hours devoted to this book. That tells you how strongly I feel about it. Third and final book I want to tell you about is actually a science fiction book, and this is Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. It's another older book. It's actually from the 70s during like the free love period. And the thing that's great about this one, essentially the story is, it's again science fiction. This human being was left on a Martian colony by like some ship that was there. I don't remember exactly. It's been a long time since I read the book. And then he's brought back to Earth. But he knows the Martian language. And in knowing the Martian language, he's learned some truths about nature, about life, and he's learned the Martian philosophy. And so he starts teaching the Martian language to people on Earth, and they start learning that philosophy as well. And a big component of that philosophy, and this is why the book's great for game and great for your inner game, a big component of that philosophy is sort of a bit of the free love philosophy of the 70s, sort of like the multiple long-term relationship philosophy you'd want to have if you want to date multiple girls. Right? It really talks about what jealousy is and isn't, what love is and isn't, what the purpose and meaning of sex is in a relationship, those kind of things. And it makes some very, very good and very compelling arguments. It's a good supplement to your understanding of relationships, of sex, of that dynamic. And it will tremendously help you in communicating with girls on a level that they understand and relate to. It'll tremendously help you in getting the type of relationships that you want and in understanding what is a healthy relationship and what is an unhealthy relationship. All right? So those are 3 books that I read that years and years later, they still affect me. I still think back to them and I still draw lessons from them to this day. So hopefully they can do the same for you. And if you like this video, go ahead and throw a like on it so I know that you liked it, and maybe I'll do another video on maybe my self-help books I like or the biographies I like, etc. like that. It's kind of a new departure for me in terms of doing this kind of video. Hopefully you guys really, really enjoy it. Hopefully you learn a lot from it, and hopefully you read the fucking books.